Hello everyone, I'm Siti student tourist destination, and here I will present about cultural dimension of Chinese by Hofstede. Before we get to the score of Chinese, what is Hofstede's theory of cultural dimensions? Hofstede theory of cultural dimension, developed by Gerd Hofstede, is a framework used to understand cultural difference between countries and to different the way business is conducted in different cultures. In other words, a framework is used to distinguish between different national cultures, their cultures, dimension, and assess their impact on business settings. Types of organization. This article examines different types of organization, exploring the different categories that can be classified in organizational structure. Hofstede theory of cultural dimension was created in 1980 by the Dutch management researcher Gerd Hofstede. The purpose of this study was to determine the dimension of cultural variation. And its a score of Chinese power distance is 80%, individualist 20%, masculinity 66%, uncertainty avoidance is 30%, and long-term orientation 87%, and intelligence 24%. In the next slide is power distance. Power distance is defined as the extent to which the less powerful members of institutions and organizations within a country expect and accept the power is distributed unequally. At 80, China sits in the higher rankings of PDI IEA society that believes that inequalities amongst people are acceptable. Individuals are influenced by formal authority and sanctions and are in general optimistic about people's capacity for leadership and initiative. People should not have aspiration beyond their rank. And second is individualist. Individualist society, people are supposed to look after themselves and their direct family only. The fundamental issue addressed by this dimension is the degree of independence a society maintains among its members. It has to do with whether people's self-image is defined in terms of I or we. At a score of 20, China is a highly collective culture where people act in the interest of the group and not necessarily of themselves. In-group considerations affect hearing and promotion with closer in-group. In-group considerations affect hearing and promotion with closer in-groups, or such as family. Are getting preferential treatment. Employee commitment to the organization or but not necessarily to the people in the organization is low. And next is masculinity. A high score or masculine on this dimension indicates that the society will be driven by competition, achievement, and success, with success being defined by the winner or best in field. A value system that starts in school and continues throughout organizational life. And a low score or feminine on the dimension means that the dominant values in society are caring for others and quality of life. A feminine society is one where quality of life is the sign of success and standing out from the crowd is not admirable. At 66, China is a masculine society, success-oriented and driven. The need to ensure success can be exemplified by the fact that many Chinese will sacrifice family and leisure priorities to work. Next is uncertainty avoidance. The Chinese are comfortable with ambiguity. The Chinese language is full of ambiguous meanings that can be difficult for Western people to follow. Chinese are adaptable and entrepreneurial at the time of reading the majority or 70% until 80% of Chinese business tend to be small to medium sized and family owned. Score 30, China has a low score on uncertainty avoidance. Truth might be relative to in the immediate social circles. There is concern for truth with a capital T and rules or but not necessarily laws upon. Next, long-term orientation, which core law on this dimension, for example, prefer to maintain time-honored tradition and norms while viewing social thought. Change with suspicion, thus with a culture which core high, on the other hand, take a more pragmatic approach. China scored 87 in this dimension, which means that it is a very pragmatic culture. In societies with a pragmatic orientation, people believe that truth depends very much on situation, context, and time. Next is intelligence. Without socialization, we do not become human. This dimension is defined as the extent to which people try to control their desires and impulse, based on the way they were raised. Relatively weak control is called intelligence, and relatively strong control is called restraint. Cultures can therefore be described as intelligent or restrained. China is a restrained society, as can be seen in its low score of 24 in this dimension. Societies with a low score in this dimension have a tendency to cynicism and pessimism. People with this orientation have the perception that their actions are restrained by social norms and feel that intelligence themselves is somewhat broke. And this is the end of my presentation, and thank you and see you goodbye.